part 2. Let's get it.
For this particular phase of the process, I'm focusing on security. I want this thing to be locked up nice and tight, way better than that hole in my pants, just talking ultimate security. I'm using these landscape barriers to try to further, one, secure the enclosure to the ground and close up any existing gaps that may still be present. I tried facing it to the outside of the enclosure, but I decided orienting it facing toward the inside of the enclosure was the best bet. And then I got all the sides nice and secured and in place. This put me in a good position to come back in with the chicken wire and start the process of further securing making this thing just dig proof. Really. Underneath the rocks, there's a layer of chicken wire. And on top of the rocks, I'm securing this chicken wire to all of the corners of this main open space of the enclosure, making sure nothing can dig its way in and nothing can dig its way out. Just vitally important. I was really happy with the overall end result of this. I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but it came out really nice and clean. So the next step I went into was I wanted to make sure the enclosure couldn't be lifted out of place. So I went ahead and used my nail gun and attached all the sides of the landscape barrier to the walls of the enclosure and made sure everything was in place. Everything looked nice and clean. It really kind of blew me away. And this is what the inside of that space looks like. So you can see the landscape barrier making its way inside of the enclosure, as well as the chicken wire along the bottom. This should do a great deal in terms of making sure no unwanted guests make their way into the enclosure through digging, and that I can keep my Uromastic inside, just keep her from getting out and escaping. Yeah. Securing that this space would be safe for my little Uromastic was really, really important to me. I wanted to make sure that she would be protected from any potential predators that will come along. And you have to consider those things when you are setting up an outdoor enclosure. In my neighborhood, we do have issues with raccoons, so I wanted to make sure that she had everything she needed to be protected from raccoons. The other predator that I worry about are ants. Now, folks may not think of ants as being predators because they're so small, but they are in fact mighty predators for creatures that are larger than them. So in order to make sure that that would be less of an issue and I could stay on top of it, I put that layer of diatomaceous earth underneath the enclosure, and then I also sprinkle diatomaceous earth around the enclosure. All the latches, I have at the minimum 2 latches securing doors, and I have 3 latches securing the top door. I also added extra galvanized steel fencing over the top of the enclosure because I was just really worried that the weight of a raccoon, they would be able to fall into the enclosure and get inside. The side walls are made with metal fencing, so I'm not so much worried about those. I think that they'll be super secure and that won't be a problem. But overall, I wanted to make sure that my security was on point for this enclosure. Nothing will be able to dig its way in or out and it's going to create a nice safe environment for my Uromastic to live in. I am just so excited to go on this journey of doing an outdoor enclosure for one of my Uromastics. If all goes well, then I'm hoping to create more and more of these outdoor spaces to create an even more naturalistic environment that will have humidity levels that can work well for them, all of that good stuff. All right, so that's all I got for this video. Part 3 is coming up soon. Like, follow, all of that good stuff. Until next time, I'm out.